fire. Early chemists believed it was one of the 4 basic elements. While modern science has disproved that theory, fire still has a mystical hold on us. Nearly every child has the dream of sliding down a fire pole, climbing aboard a fire-red engine, and battling a raging inferno. It's a dream that's been romanticized on the silver screen.
All units en route to 1630 6th Avenue, engine report change.
This is not a movie. This is real life. Terre Haute, Indiana, January 14th, 1993. Any notion you had that firefighting is romantic work is quickly wiped out by the heavy, choking smoke.
They couldn't have any smoke in that movie, or you couldn't see the actors. We're in total darkness usually in a house fire. You can't see anything.
Firefighting is hard, dirty work, and the rewards are few. So the question is,
it's not glamorous.
No.
Why do you do it?
It's just something I've always wanted to do. I've just never, I just always wanted to do this.
And so you went ahead and did it?
Yeah.
I started out in the volunteer field as a volunteer firefighter, and that was basically because I just felt like, it was a service I wanted to provide for my community.
the general public may take a firefighter's sense of service a little too much for granted. Firefighters say that when household emergencies arise, no matter how large or how small, the tendency of the general public is, if you can't figure out who else to call the fire department. But in those cases where the fire department really isn't needed, a firefighter may have to play the role of a psychologist and a public relations expert. But that doesn't mean that the only duty of the fire department is to fight fires. The Terre Haute Fire Department runs an ambulance service, and these file cabinets hold the records for Terre Haute businesses.
The state law provides that we have to inspect all places that the public goes in once a year. All of them, and you're talking about several thousand.
Ambulances and records aside, the prevailing public image of a firefighter is this, but no one knows the men under the heavy equipment or how they feel when fire takes a life.
Firefighters are human beings too. We cry and we're sad and we feel for people.
TV2 was granted exclusive access to the fire department, and this week I'll give you a fascinating look at the men and their work as they take the heat to protect the Terre Haute community. Len Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News. A firefighter's day begins just after 7 a.m. with the daily ritual, checking all the equipment to see if it's in proper working order. The daily equipment check may seem mundane, but nothing can be taken for granted if this gear is to help save lives. Plus, it helps kill time because not every day is spent battling fires.
Let's get up here.
You gonna climb on there?
A family visit may just be the most welcome break from the daily grind. Working a 24-hour shift as these men do cuts into quality family time. One of the most obvious sights in the firehouse is how clean it is. Everything is military spit and polish because every day the trucks are cleaned. The most common sound is laughter. In this stressful line of work where the alarm can sound at any second, good-natured ribbing helps ease the tension. One firefighter joked that when the days are slow and the chores are finished, the toughest decision is what to have for dinner. Engine House 5 may be the city's last traditional firehouse. It has the only 2 fire poles in town. A victim of insurance concerns, new houses don't have them. Waiting at the bottom of the pole is a fireman's gear. As you can see, it will cover him from head to toe. All of this equipment weighs about 45 pounds. It's bulky and it's kind of hot, but firefighters say it does keep away some of the heat when they're in the fire. And when they're in training, they have to get all of this equipment on in about 45 seconds. The men of House 5 will suit up once tonight, but the reported Freon leak they are sent to investigate turns out to be nothing more than a broken bottle of bug killer. Firefighters say after years on the force, they've seen a countless number of runs like this. Does it get aggravating?
Well, really, I'm kind of glad that nobody was hurt, and it was a routine tack run, so that's actually better.
Because of its central downtown location, House 5 is also the base of the battalion chief. While the rest of the men are sleeping, Skip Allenbaugh is speeding through town because another city firehouse is battling a car fire. Would it be easier to fight it with the hood up?
Yeah, if we'd had the fuse to start with, it'd been much easier. We could have popped the hood up and we wouldn't have been less damage to the car.
This car fire may seem minor to you, and the day you have just witnessed may give you the false impression a firefighter's life is easy. This is one extreme of a day in the life of a firefighter. These men will head home at 7 a.m. or go off to their second job. But the next day's shift will face the flip side of this coin. Join me Wednesday night. I'll show you exclusive video as Terre Haute firefighters battle their way through one of the busiest nights in recent memory. In Terre Haute, Glenn Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News. Terre Haute firefighters always leave their pants hanging over their boots. That way, they can dress quicker as they rush to a fire. It's a sign firefighters are always ready to answer the call, and on this night, they will need to be.
All units en route to 1630, 6th Avenue, report heavy smoke.
This house fire is quickly doused.
First priority is to save lives. That's what we're taught, and second priority is the fire, and then third priority is to conserve people's property. We found the fire right away. One of my guys went ahead and started search. I went ahead and started on the fire, and we found nobody, and we put the fire out.
Battalion Chief John Brighton is on duty tonight. It's his job to go to every fire. He surveys the damage for his report.
Residential structure fires, this is what we are battling the most in Terre Haute.
In the next few hours, Brighton's words prove to be prophetic. The men of Engine House 7 battle a trailer fire.
Your back door here or what? Yeah, you can get it open? Yeah.
Power lines pop overhead as firefighters pour on the water. Brighton compares the earlier house fire to this blazing trailer.
Once a trailer starts, it just goes so quick. It's like trying to set a piece of wood on fire in comparison to tissue paper.
Minutes later, Brighton is on his way to this midtown home where a woman and her son escape after their smoke detector sounds. This has been a busy morning for Terre Haute firefighters. Around 3:20 a.m., they were called out to a fire on Lafayette Avenue. Within the next hour, they would respond to two other scenes, including this one at 22nd and Cleveland. That's 3 fires within 1 hour. This blaze is raging. Firefighters disappear in the heavy smoke. The fire spreads rapidly, and soon flames are shooting through the roof. It sounds like a house full of telephones, but that ringing tells firefighters their air tanks are nearly empty. Using the buddy system, they help each other change tanks, then head back into the heat. A line of spent air tanks shows the length of this battle. Among the trucks on the scene is this air unit, which carries 28 spare tanks and can quickly fill 40 more.
All they have to do is walk up to here. They take this hose right here, pull this dust cap off, pull the dust cap off here, and plug it in just like that, and it fills this air ball up in about 15 to 20 seconds.
These firefighters will be here until their shift ends around 7. The next day's shift will come here to clean up. It's been, in Brighton's words, an unusual night. How would you say the fire department responded to them?
I think they did well on all of them. They made good stops on all of them, except this one, and there wasn't any stopping to this one. It was totally involved by the time we got here.
There's a reason firefighters had little chance with this blaze. Join me tonight on the late edition of Eyewitness News as I follow fire investigators through the house and tell you why it burned so quickly. In Terre Haute, Glenn Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News. This house at 22nd and Cleveland is fully engulfed when firefighters arrive on the scene. It will take them nearly 4 hours to douse all the hot spots. A few days later, Terre Haute fire investigator Chuck Nichols goes back to the house to look for a cause of the fire.
I try to do all fire scenes almost in the same pattern. You try to eliminate everything that is an accidental fire. And when you've got through that process and you've eliminated everything that's accidental, then you start looking towards what is abnormal. My first thing that I will do is I'll walk the complete perimeter of the property just to kind of get an idea of what's in the yard, what looks normal, what looks abnormal. You may come across a gas can laying out in the backyard. That's unusual. Most people don't have gas cans laying in their backyard.
So we've got the outside of the house now.
I'll go in, usually the front door, if all possible. I go to the area of the most unburnt part of the structure. We're still working our way from the least towards that area where the most char is. This room here, you've got some charring, but it's still not the real heavy charring. Because if you look here, up here, so you can see in the attic there where the fire had been in the attic, but when you get back down underneath the ceiling, we're in here with this wood here.
It hasn't been touched.
There's no damage.
Even that side of the room seems to be less charred than as you keep moving back toward this corner.
We're headed more towards the area of origin. You can see how we're starting to pick up a trail of how the fire spread. This door here, if you'll see, has very little char on that side of it. But if you push the door shut, then you're picking up heavy char on this side of the door. So that tells you that that door was either closed or almost in the closed position.
And what about the rafters in this room as compared to where we've been?
They're almost totally gone. So we're getting close to the area of origin of the fire. It'll start down here, and as it goes up, it goes out like this. You've got a V-type pattern here. So this here in this area through here, this is an area that you really want to try to examine very closely.
A few days later, we return to the house.
Well, that's wooden, and it's charred right here, so that's a good sign that something's been put there. But it's amazing that once you shovel all this out, and then you wash it all down, what that floor will reveal to you.
The floor has revealed that a flammable liquid was poured on it, then torched. This is an arson. And remember the V-shape we saw earlier?
It's kind of cooled here, and then it's been down alongside of this, and here we go. See, we got our V pattern going right straight out. People don't realize that arson is a hard thing to try to correct and to solve.
With Chuck Nichols on the trail of an arsonist, Glenn Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News. The doors are open. The keys are in the ignition. Time savers in a profession where precious seconds can mean the difference between life and death. Squad 29 is ready to roll, and on this Friday, its crew of Billy Martin and Larry Cyphers rolls through the night.
When a call came out for a house fire in the 1600 block of North 6th Street, there was a call for also a possible entrapment. So not only did an engine and a ladder from House 7 roll, Squad 29 also was on the scene.
No one is injured, which is just what the crew likes to hear. But as Squad 29 heads back to its station, this is the scene at Terre Haute's Holman Center. The leg of Terre Haute North's Matt Millington snaps as he lands after a missed slam dunk. Cyphers and Martin load Millington into the ambulance.
Okay, we're trying not to apply pressure. We gotta get this. Can't guess if you can pull it.
One side off.
Oh, okay, hold on.
It's off his heel. You need to check pedal pulse to make sure that he's still got blood flowing, because a lot of times in brakes you could cut off the blood supply And so that's why you have to do that. It's kind of a waste of nice tennis shoes, but it has to be done.
Squad 29 used to be
Cypher speaks to emergency room workers while Martin maneuvers through the streets of the city. Some drivers pull over for the ambulance, others don't. After dropping off Millington at the hospital, Squad 29 rolls into its house, but only for a few minutes.
There was just always a variety, always something different. You're always staying busy.
An elderly stroke victim needs more care than Terre Haute ambulances can offer. Terre Haute's EMS crews offer only basic life support. They cannot administer drugs or start IVs. So midway through this run, Cyphers and Martin hook up with local paramedics who can. Working in the back of a moving ambulance is a jarring experience.
Go through the training and everything like that, and it's to the point, you don't really think about it. You know what you have to do, you try to figure out what the problem is, get everything treated appropriately, and take care of the patient.
At times, the sights can be overwhelming.
But a lot of people, they can't, they don't deal with that. They just do not want to deal with blood. They don't want to deal with, people throwing up and everything like that. And that's not one of our highlights, but it's all part of the job.
And there are times when someone gives these guys a well-deserved pat on the back.
You get the feeling, more or less, that you were appreciated more than you hear it, I think.
The moments to savor the gratitude are few, because the next run is always right around the corner. Aboard Squad 29 in Terre Haute, Glenn Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News.
Just fighting fires in general is stressful. You know whenever a call comes in, you've got a chance of somebody being possibly trapped within the structure of a house, or car wreck. Somebody might be, trapped inside of a car, or just anything where somebody's lives may be in jeopardy. I mean, it's a stress on you.
I think somebody has to really want to do this, to do a good job at it and make it a career. I think it's something somebody really has to want to do.
That's certainly true of Ron Steiner. He's living out his childhood dream of being a firefighter, but he quickly found out this line of work is not child's play.
I don't think I'd want to be in there with somebody that wasn't scared.
Even after all the years and all the training you've been through?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to, it's something that you need to respect. I mean, it can hurt you if you're not careful.
Training doesn't prepare you much for a fire.
Why is that?
It trains you for the technical side of it, but nothing to do with the adrenaline, the heat, the smoke, anything like that.
Firefighters are more likely to be injured on the job than people in other professions, including police officers. And on the average, they have shorter than normal lifespans. Firefighters work long hours for low pay. In fact, most men on the Terre Haute Fire Department work second jobs to help support their families. And there are those who say that promotions are based on politics rather than on performance. But somehow, when the alarm sounds and those engines roll, the men of the Terre Haute Fire Department are able to put all those pressures behind them and only worry about the people on the other end of those calls who may need their help.
It'll wake us up in the middle of the night. You just get it in your head on the way to the fire to try to do your job, to hope you can maybe save someone or save their property, just to do the best you can.
Even if you may have done everything, to the best of your ability, you're always thinking, was there something I could have done better? Is there something we as a team could have done better, to make things happen faster?
That's especially true when firefighters face death.
You go back home and you just cry because there's a life there that you tried to save. You feel like you've done your best to do it, and there's just nothing that you can say or do to keep from hurting over it.
But in the end, after all the heat, smoke, stress, and fears, the men who protect the city keep a clear perspective on why they do this.
I love what I'm doing. I love being a firefighter. And even though I have to work 2 to 3 jobs to support myself and my family and have the things that I want, I'd rather be doing this than having a day in, day out humdrum job as far as punching the clock and doing the same thing day after day.
In Terre Haute, Glenn Augustine, TV2 Eyewitness News.